Colin, last time we had a chance to talk, we were just getting ready for Fright Night to come out.
Oh, yeah.
A film that you had a lot of love for already going
Mm-hmm.
into. As we come into Total Recall, how familiar were you with the film? And I'm always curious about how much of that film did you want to try to bring over, and how much did you just want to make a clean slate and really make it your own?
I really, to be honest with you, I would come from the school of clean slate. It seems to be a tricky one with remakes. If you have too much stuff from the original, people go, what's the point? You're just copying. If you
Right.
don't have enough, they go, I can't believe they left that out. You know, seriously, you can't do right for doing wrong. You know, it's one of those. So I think the most important thing, I mean, it's more of a question probably for Len, because he being the designer of the world and being, fairly much the predominant driver of this whole experience into being, was the one that was very aware of what stuff to bring from the original Three-Breasted Woman, certain lines, the woman in the yellow jacket with the red hair, that's kind of a misdirect, and he was very adamant that a few things should remain and that the original should certainly be acknowledged, but then his biggest thing was to make something that justified its own existence, that stands alone as its own entity, and this is for him. I don't know if him as much, but I think he really liked the original, and I know I definitely really liked the original, so it was as much out of respect for the original as out of respect for wanting to make a film that in itself, even though it was a remake, could also have elements that felt very original, which this did when I read it. It didn't.
Right.
It really did when I read it. I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I know this happens with him and his wife, and then I know he goes on the run. I know who he is, but there was no, there was no mutants. There was no third act in Mars, which some fans of the original may miss, of course, but was great because it made the script very different, but also tonally it just felt really, really different, so.
Now, we're used to seeing you in action films. You know action, and we're very comfortable seeing you in action, but this is a level of action I don't think a lot of us have seen you in. And there's, we see glimpses of it in the trailer, but that first fight between you and Kate Beckinsale, I'm sitting in a theater full of, bitter-hardened film critics watching this, and that fight had them, gasping out, wow, like on a number of occasions.
Oh, really? Wonderful.
Talk about the action
That's cool.
and what it was like, and what made the action in this film different than the ones you've done before.
Amount. I mean, there's so much action in this film. I'm trying to think what I've done before. I mean, I've done stuff on horses before a lot and some fist fights, but there's so many elements in this film. There's so many between the synthetic police force, all the hover cars, the expanse of architecture that goes up. I mean, there's so much depth to some of the shots, the elevator shafts, the action scene in that. I mean, the environment really compelled the characters in the story to move in a certain way, to leap when they had to leap in a very dramatic way, the whole thing, because of the environment, I think. And yeah, we trained really hard. I trained with a guy called Jeff Amada, who I'd worked with before, who's a wonderful martial artist and stunt coordinator, and I worked with a guy called Gabe Nunez, who stunt doubles for me, and Gabe does parkour,
Right.
the urban street sport gymnastics, and so I worked with him a lot because I knew there was going to be a lot of running and jumping and stuff, and then it was just, for 6 months, man, it was chaos. It was
now,
mad.
When you have that much action, it can be easy to have a performance get lost in it.
Sure.
And yet there's that fine balance that there's a risk of overdoing it. And you
Sure.
found a great balance in there. What was
man.
that challenge for you in making sure that the character and the performance stayed center in the midst of all of this?
That every single action beat, every single step, every single run and jump and punch and duck and fall is inspired by a certain set of circumstances that the character finds himself in, which affect him psychologically and emotionally. So just that simple thing, and which was easy to lose sight of, because you do 4.5 months into the shoot, and you're on take 5 of a particular run and jump, and you're kind of going, okay, we're going again, okay, cool, and then and rolls and action, and you run and do it, and then somehow a voice inside you goes, you completely just did that physically. You just careful, Colin. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's very easy to, if a scene is a dialogue scene, you never rest on your laurels.
Right.
You're always in trying to find something and play within it, But physical stuff, because you're trying to do it the same every time, by its very nature, it becomes dull and you can easily switch off. So that was the biggest thing I noted, was to go, okay, have to remind myself, you just came from here, this has just happened, because the whole story takes place over over what, 3 days, 2
Right,
days, 2
right.
days really. He's on the run for 2 days pretty much.
Well, listen, Colin, congratulations on the
Thanks,
film.
man.
I had a lot of fun with it. We can't wait to have it
Oh,
on
good.
AMC
I'm glad.
screens.
I'm
Thank you
glad.
very much,
Thanks,
man.